So first off, we need to introduce everyone. This is Bo.
Yes, we have Bo on the show today.
Bo on the show.
We have a four-legged guest.
We love Bo.
Look at him.
Yes, you were the cutest. And then we have Traci.
Traci, the mother of Bo.
The mother of
Traci.
The mother of dragons.
What? Okay, so we know you
Don't get
from
me
high
started on
school, clearly. When did we meet each other?
I hope y'all know me a little more than that.
I'm just thinking.
I mean, I'm talking about
OG,
like past.
like how did we get to know each other? So me and Traci have known each other forever, right?
Ever.
Since kindergarten.
Awkward days of...
Which kindergarten class? Girly?
I had Miss Neva.
Oh, that's right. I had Girly.
I had Whirly.
And who'd you have first grade?
Mercer.
Me too.
We've done this before. You realize this, right? You guys.
We have definitely reviewed.
Miranda, like, you were like, what do you have for first grade?
We had. Did we have fourth? No, you had Baker for
This
fourth.
is some hometown
Yeah.
shit right here.
Third.
So that's where
Did
we...
you have Sasser?
I had Sasser.
I had Sasser. Sassy Sasser.
Sassy Sasser.
Anyway, so
Second
you got.
grade.
Wait, what is
Did
this?
you have Miss Amelia second grade?
Yeah.
Me too.
Wait, since K, or like since first grade?
Okay.
Okay.
K.
Well, because our moms
Tall.
both tall at Princeton,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we would hang out after school.
So you guys were close, you would say. At
Too
what,
close.
at what point did you guys?
Yes.
Because you guys weren't close in high school.
We had a
that's my
very
thing, so
weird alter... Like,
I don't even know if I've told George about that.
have you not?
You have to tell the story
Alright.
in a PG manner.
In a PG
PG-13.
manner. It was pretty PG.
It was.
They lesbian lovers?
That's what I'm thinking.
Like, you would have thought so. Okay?
Okay.
So Emily was coming over to my house because, you know, when you're young, you have like sleepovers, you have your friends come over and play. So Emily was over and we were playing
Traci's idea was to play.
Lizzie McGuire. That's what we were playing.
was
She
Traci's
was for
idea.
Halloween
Wait,
last
yeah,
year.
You dressed up
So,
as a
Oh, who's
had
had
it on
it on their mind?
Now the lesbian part of me is coming out.
So Emily played Gordo.
Of
And
course.
I
Of course she played Gordo.
Lizzie.
Because she wanted to be
She
Lizzie.
wanted to be
Oh,
Lizzie.
of
She wouldn't dare to
course.
be a man.
It was
Never.
my house, so I was Lizzie. There was no question about it. And we're playing, and then we're like, well, obviously there's going to be a makeout session. So,
Oh, obviously? Is that an obvious
I
thing?
did-
Should we
yes.
have all seen this coming?
Whose idea was this?
but really, it was my idea to play the game. But if you
Was the
think
makeout
about it,
session?
this,
Spoiler alert,
yes,
Traci
we
turned
were
out to be a
probably,
lesbian.
what, in second grade?
Positive.
Second.
We were probably in second grade.
So young.
So that's when you're first starting like exploring, like
Especially
you
this one.
don't really know what it's about. Oh yeah. And so anyways, but I mean we
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
kiss or anything, but we were like
We like put our hands
yeah,
and
we
we
were
were like, oh.
mm.
And
my
so
mom walks
she
in.
goes, grab my ass. And I was like, okay. I grab her ass. And then her mom walks in.
Of course, Emily's
And, like,
complacent during
Betsy
all
Flips
this.
the light on, and it was just like,
Betsy's like, what did I just walk into? And we're like, we're just playing.
don't tell my mom.
So you guys had a weird connection, to say the least.
For sure. And then one time I got really upset because I was invited to Emily's birthday party at that house over there. And I got upset. I was like calling my mom to pick me up. I was like, nobody's playing with me. I'm just an outcast. You need to come pick me up.
Of course. Over dramatic Traci.
So
dude.
over dramatic.
Wait, so was there a point where you guys like weren't as close? Because I know, like I said, in high school you guys weren't as close. So I'm trying to figure
We
out.
were always like, like we never, there was never a falling out or anything like that.
No.
It was just like when high school,
Kinda grew
actually, you know what
apart.
it was? I kind of got in like the nerdy group in high school
Yeah.
just because the classes I was in. And it was just,
Basically, I was not
I
smart.
can't figure out.
Shut
That's
up.
when me and you became friends. Two non-smart friends.
Yeah, I was
The
like, AP
non-honors
English,
student.
fuck that shit.
Welcome
I mean,
to
that's
what did they used to call it? A remedial, remedial math, algebra. Oh
I didn't
God.
give a shit about my grades in high school.
What were you at in the middle of 7th grade when I came? What was the relation?
I was
seventh grade
really
was
close
about that.
Yeah,
that
I was
weird
really
time.
close with
Right,
Casey
right.
Kroon because she
Mhm.
started
Yeah.
coming. She came in 5th grade, and so we
Which
started
I was
becoming really good
close
friends.
with Casey for a little while too, Whenever she came and there was like this, okay, just to let you know, there was this like gang of people who were teachers' kids that would hang out every day after school because we had to be. Anyway, just a bunch of people that we were kind of like varying ages. We were hanging out in the school after hours. So we would go to like the teachers' lounge,
sometimes.
whatever. Sometimes we would just like congregate in someone's room, like in somebody's room, and we'd be like writing on the boards and stuff like that. And we had to just chill for like 30 minutes or an hour, so we would all hang
We
out.
should have been doing our homework.
Sometimes we did.
Sometimes you do.
I didn't.
I did.
When did me? One thing that's very vague to me is when you and I met. I know we used to hang out with Jenna and Jessica.
Mhm.
We had a group called JTKJ. It was super unoriginal because it was just the first initial of each other's
For
names.
sure.
I mean, honest to God.
I swear to God, I had the same kind of group. 3 people. TGM. When I was like 9.
Well, we were way
Thank
older than
God,
that, so
Mary.
that's even more embarrassing.
Do you remember GLG? Gay Love Gang?
Yes, Jake
Bunch
was
of-
a
yeah.
big advocate of the
A
gay
lot
love
of
gang.
straight men decided they were gonna become the Gay Love Gang, and they all hung out and did gay stuff together.
Honestly, I'm down for it.
They would they would
Absolutely.
seriously like cuddle, and like they'd be like, let's have a movie night, and they'd sit there and watch like Lord of the Rings together. Like, it's the Gay Love Gang.
That's so sweet.
That is actually very adorable because all of them are still straight to this day.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say, and they
for
all
sure.
liked men, but they just
loved
loved each other.
It was like they were the bro love. What do they call it? Bromance before it was a thing.
Yeah.
Like before.
it was like
So-
socially acceptable.
Yeah, to be like openly sensual with your mates.
With your mates.
I know Tyler's always like, "You're friends. You all are just so loving with one another," and I'm like,
Thank you.
"Yeah."
a compliment.
That's a huge compliment. But you know, that's like a diamond in the rough nowadays. I don't know, like I see people in their friendships and their bonds, and it's
It's very surface
transactional.
level. Yeah,
like,
it's just
what if I do something for you? What do I get back?
right.
And I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I always like.
Doesn't make sense.
I kind of always wrote it off as we just had known each other too long. But I don't think that's it. I think we could have just met like 4 or 5 years ago, and we still would be the
Be the
people
same
that we are.
way.
Because I'm like that
What
with
do
my
you
outer group.
mean?
So like, you know, you always like say that I'm caring, and like I think about, you know, you always say I'm a great friend.
Mhm.
But I see friendships where it's not like that, where they don't like care for each other. Like they wouldn't, and it's not even like they wouldn't do it. It's just it's not their first thought. Like there's things that are like instinctual. Like you're just like, hey, my friend is not feeling well. Let me go over there and like. The
Cheer
first thought is like,
up,
let me go
or,
over there and do
like-
this, or
Right.
do
So-
that. What can I do for them? What can I like? What energy can I give them to be able to like bring it back?
Right.
You know, but some people are more like, oh, that sucks. I hate it for you.
Yeah.
I'll be there to talk to you. Like, what the
Well,
fuck is talking to?
It seems like though, you know, and I've seen these things where it's like with monkeys where they say like
Okay, Joe Rogan.
you can only
It's been
have
It's what, like 4 minutes, 5 minutes into the podcast, you've already talking about
Eight.
monkeys? 8 minutes. I'll give you that credit.
okay. So monkeys have like a certain size of group before you like stop being able to make intimate like relationships with everyone. So for instance, like I think human beings in general can't have more than like however
A
many
certain amount
friends.
of relationship.
Yeah.
You can't have
You can't.
100
Monkeys are
personal
fucking crazy.
relationships.
It's hard, like, the older you get, obviously your circle's gonna grow smaller
Yeah.
because you have so many other things, like work, paying bills, like so many other things that take your
Yeah.
attention and your time. Like, you really want to spend that
Yeah.
extra time with people who are gonna, like,
Well, I
serve
think-
you and care about
Totally.
Something that's
You get picky as you get older.
Something that's very
Absolutely.
odd to me is like people who say they grow distant from their friends, and I have those friends I've grown distant from.
Definitely.
No, like you know, definitely like I'm not like.
We've all
No,
kind
I'm
of
not
grown
perfect,
distant
you
from
know.
each other in
We
some
have
point
that.
of our lives, but we
But
have
I think
come
it's
back.
very odd when people just like have no reason to grow distant. I don't know, like they have the power to grow that friendship back, and they don't. They decide not to. It's like, oh, whatever. We were friends in high school. We don't have to. I don't know. Like I talk
Put
about the
forth the
podcast
effort
and
that
talk
you do.
about
It is
like
an
what
effort.
we do and like how you know you and I like have started this thing, and they're just like, how long have you guys been friends? And I'm like, oh, since like high school. And they're like, I don't like anybody from high school. I don't. All my friends from high school like. I think
Yeah.
it's the biggest myth that anyone's ever been told is like you are not going to stay friends with people you were in high school.
From
You
high school.
absolutely are if you make that a choice. It's
Yeah,
work, it's
that's-
dedication, but so is fucking everything. You know,
Yeah.
like.
But it does seem like natural with certain people. Hello, Bo.
He wants
It
attention.
does seem natural with certain people. So like sometimes something will be going on in your life, right? Or let's say something goes on in your life, right? Sometimes it is natural to like want to help that person. It's like the first thing that comes to your mind. And then sometimes it's like that conscious effort of like, you know what, I should care more about this. Like I should put more energy, more effort into this person.
Yeah.
That's kind of, it's like it's different, but I don't know that it's any.
Everybody has that? I don't feel like everybody's that way.
Just open up a beer.
A fresh brewski. I don't feel like everyone has that.
What?
Like a natural instinct to like want to help and like.
Oh
you
no,
know,
definitely not.
There's not. There's like
There's
to you
different-
it's odd.
it's
It's
not
crazy,
a-
but there's not.
Because
and
that's
not
your
everyone's like that.
personality. Everyone's
Yeah.
brain's not wired that way.
There's some people who
And
think
which
about
has
themselves
taken me a
before.
long time to learn.
Like
Like
growth, honey.
as growing older, like I just meet I have interactions and I meet some people and I'm just like, you're a real piece of shit. But I mean like that's who you are and
Yeah.
rock it. If you're gonna be a piece of shit, be a piece of shit.
Yeah, I think honestly that definitely comes with maturity. Like learning that everyone's different, and even though they're not caring, it doesn't change your life in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So just being. Like,
And I'm not gonna
complacent with
spend
it
my
in a
time
way.
and effort trying to make you a better person. 'Cause
No.
That is definitely part of maturity. Being
Yeah.
like, you're a shit person. That has no impact.
Nothing
Like,
to do with me.
you're being a shit person to me personally, and that sucks. But it's like,
It's your
that's
problem.
your
not
issue.
mine.
Literally.
Like,
Mhm.
I don't have to. You need therapy. I don't. Like, you know,
Get
like.
help.
You need to come to Jesus,
Swear to
but I do
God.
not.
There's this level of like peace that comes from that. That like I can't make everybody like me. I'm not in control of that.
Right.
So if somebody wants to be a dick, they're just gonna have to be a dick, and hopefully they figure that
Yeah.
out. I pray, seriously, like even people that I really dislike, I hope that they come to a point in their life where they realize, like, I've been a dick all these years.
Yeah.
Let me change.
I've made other people's lives miserable, and I need to do some introspection.
I wish people would never have that realization. I mean,
You got your
I talk
pie,
about like the
Mom.
people that I like. I like at work who are well into their like adulthood.
And you're just like,
Adults.
how?
Yeah, you're
Adults.
just like
How?
A
what?
40-year-old
I don't understand.
person that acts like a teenager. And
I don't
you're
understand
like,
You know what I
What?
chalk it up to?
What?
I feel like a lot of the
Midlife
people
crisis.
yes, or their childhood. Like some people
Yeah.
were.
It's all
about childhood.
I mean, honestly, everything comes back to childhood. To
Always.
be honest with you, it's all about how you're reared. So I think those people just never got positive reinforcement. So they just feel like that's just the way they are. They shit on people because they've been shit on all their lives. There's some people who
It's like a defense mechanism.
yeah, there's so crazy to think about. There's people who like turn it around. You know what I mean? Who make it a point to like be the opposite of what they grew up on. And there's some people who just take it and run with it. You know, like
It's all I've
being
ever known.
raised by criminals. There's a 50-50 like percent chance of how that's
Yeah.
gonna work. You're either gonna become a criminal or you're never gonna want to do crime again. In your
Or you're
life.
gonna be like a cop. And
It's like
Yeah,
alcoholism.
yeah.
Growing up with an
Alcoholism.
alcoholic, same thing.
Yeah, you just.
But don't you ever have those days where you just like, I had one the other day where I was just being a bitch, and I was just like
That's every day.
super
All the time.
irritable, and I was just like, I felt bad about the way that I was currently acting. You know what I mean? Like as I was
Yes.
saying
That's
things,
good,
I was
though.
like, oh jeez.
No,
That's
every
good,
time.
though.
Every time
But
I'm a
I
conscious
have
asshole.
to assume that certain people do like
Just
feel differently. Oh, I love it though. Oh, she did it, not me.
Hate her, not us.
I do have like licks all over me. Those are gonna gross.
Oh, he'll break you out.
Oh, really?
Yes, the saliva.
Stop it!
Make
I
it
didn't
have
know that.
pimples.
No.
Yes.
Nah.
But certain people, I kind of think like, are you just in a really, really bad place? And I mean, I would.
Could be.
I feel like I'm in a neutral place. When I wake up in the morning, I can either be pissed off or I can be happy. But then there are certain days you wake up and you're just like, oh Jesus Christ, this is not my day. And then other days you wake
Yeah.
up and you're like, dude, I'm in a good mood. It's like surely there are some people that wake up every single
With
morning
sunshine out their assholes.
in a terrible mood.
Oh, opposite.
And I
Sunshine
feel
out their
bad for
asshole.
those people because I'm like, you have to go about your like, you have to speak to your coworkers and put a
In a
smile
civil
on
manner.
your face. Like, you still can't be a dick. Like, you can't be a dick. As
Yeah.
an adult, you have to learn how to not be a dick. And for some people, it's easier than others. I feel like for
Are you
me,
kidding me?
it's pretty easy. I think
I'm
it's...
sorry. You do not have to learn to not be a dick as an adult. You can get really far being a dick.
Oh,
You
that's
can-
like the
shitty
most.
world.
Look at Donald Trump. I'll just say it. He's a fucking dick,
He's a
and he's the
perfect
president
example.
of our country. I mean, he didn't get there for being passive.
I mean, you're right. He dicked his way all up the ladder. is all I'm saying.
Dicked it up.
Who gives a
I
fuck?
feel like people like dicks.
People like
People
dicks.
like
Dicks are likable.
People take
I
instruction
don't.
from dicks better than they do from like people pleasers. And I mean, honestly, if you
I
have
can see that.
a manager who is just straightforward, like, this is not an option, you have to do this, this, and this, and they're like, all right. But if another manager who's a little more passive, they're like, well, can you please do this, and da-da-da, they could come back and be like, I'm busy, I can't do it.
So I feel like you're explaining like the completely different, like opposite sides of those spectrums. But there is a medium.
Oh,
There's a
for
middle.
sure.
There's definitely a
For
middle ground. There's
sure.
a way to be respected, be stern, and also not be a dick.
It's good to have both traits in a
No,
way.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's the difference between a good manager and a shitty manager.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're somebody who is super passive, you're not a good manager. And if you're somebody who's way too stern and way too serious and doesn't know how to connect with people, you're also a shitty manager.
Yeah, you gotta be able to
It's the
manage.
medium, and that's the thing that a lot of corporations don't understand. Not even
For sure.
corporations, just jobs in general don't understand. Is like they don't understand that big
See,
line.
I have chosen to be a very, like, civil like, not even civil. I've chosen to be, like, a very kind,
Non-aggressive.
non-aggressive person.
Yeah.
And, like, if it comes down to it, I will be aggressive. But for the most part, the dog's barking.
know,
I'm
dude.
I'm excited that Bo's not
Yeah, I'm
freaking out
surprised he's
right
not
now.
freaking out.
So,
You've chosen to be that way.
I've chosen to be that way. And my philosophy is that
Just takes more
For
energy to
me-
be rude.
for
Yeah.
me, with my high school students, it seems like the first few weeks that you're with those kids, of course, it's very, very difficult because you've got to learn each other.
Yeah.
But after those first few weeks, there's like, if you give people respect,
Mm-hmm.
if you give them some level of respect, and you're just like, hey, and you explain things, I think that there's a difference between saying, you need to do this right now, and you need to do it this way.
Yeah.
Versus saying, hey, look, someone's coming to see the store soon. These are the things that have to be done. What can you do? How can
What
you
can we
help?
figure out?
What
Yeah.
I was thinking you could do this.
Yeah.
Are you cool? Yeah. Let's get this and let's get it done quick because we've got other things we want to do.
Yeah.
I think that that's the more respectable way to talk to people, and I think at the end of the day, those are the people that go through. Like they're the ones
They're
that
gonna
come
sustain.
exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
They pull through and they're just
Yeah.
like. I mean, I literally had a student today. I looked at him and I was like, listen, I don't want you to get in trouble. I was like, please just come back to the room with me. And he was like, for you, I'll do it. He was like, it's a terrible rule. I hate it. I hate the teacher. I hate every situation about it. He's like, but because you're asking, because I was like, for me, will you just do it for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, for you, I'll do it.
fine.
But
And it's like that love. I think it's just like respecting
Yeah.
people.
that's the thing,
Yeah.
especially people that are younger than you. There's this. It's a very big norm for like older folks or people who are above the like ladder to talk down to
Mhm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like one thing to say like you need to do this. Like that's obviously aggressive.
Yeah.
And that's like
Yeah.
you need to do this because you need like. But giving like it's something as small as giving someone a reason why they're doing
Yes.
something can motivate them so much, and it's almost like they are taking it as like, oh, okay, you like respect me and you think I'm smart enough to be able to have this information and execute this. So it's like when you make someone feel capable and you actually motivate someone in a positive
Definitely.
way, it makes a huge difference.
And it comes down to like, remember where you came from. You didn't.
Honest to
You
goodness.
did not
When
start.
you were a fucking like on the bottom of the ladder, you didn't want to
Right.
be spoken to that way.
Absolutely not. Like, you started somewhere and worked your way up. You got to remember where you came from and like support them and call them out on things they're doing wrong, but you also got to praise them for what they're doing right.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to give positive reinforcement, otherwise they're going to be like, what am I even doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing here? If I'm not doing a good job, if I don't hear that I'm doing a good job. And I hear a lot that it's a generational thing, like our generation needs that positive praise, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, everyone
I don't
needs that
believe that.
Millennial
positive praise.
thing. I believe it.
I think that our generation is more aware of human psychology.
For sure.
And we just
Work-life
recognize
balance,
it.
figuring out what someone
Jamie,
needs in the workplace.
Is there any studies on this? Because I feel like you guys are wrong a little bit. I feel like
Jamie,
it's proven.
can you look this up?
Wait,
I've-
what am I looking
Millennials. So say, is it proven that millennials do need positive reinforcement to be able to succeed? I personally don't believe that.
I mean, I for
think I've
damn
read
sure
that.
want
I
to
feel like
know
I've
when
read
I'm
that
doing a
somewhere.
good job. It's nice to hear, but also if I get something done, I'm like, damn.
I
I
think
did a
this is a very
good-ass
interesting
job.
perspective. We're all women in power in a way. Like we all manage a team. You manage your students. You manage your team. I manage my team. So it's kind of like we all have a different interesting perspective, and but in a way we all are very good at what we do in the
Yeah.
sense of connecting with people on like a personal level because
Yeah.
we don't see people below us. It's like everybody's equal.
You don't see
I
them
don't
as an
care.
item or just like.
Yeah.
And I have to say, we were watching some show the other day, and it was like some women talking to each other, and they were talking on this very deep level, but it was all like psychological and stuff, and it made me like super proud to be a woman because I think that a lot of times women, I mean, I hate to be like this, but like, because it is sexist. I know it's
Yeah.
sexist, but like, sometimes women are better managers because I think statistically, probably, women are better at connecting and seeing that whole thing of like, she's upset right now. Like, I need to like think about the way I'm talking to her before I just go in and start demanding or start even just asking normal questions. Recognizing
You sense
someone's
it.
state before you interact with them, and just like being really, really aware of people's situations and their state of minds at the moment, I think is crucial for management.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I think women are better than men. I really do. For management, when dealing with people in that way,
Well,
sometimes it's like, it's
yeah.
pretty obvious. Which we've had, I mean, there have been situations, of course, you always have people who are terrible.
Yeah.
I have a female manager that literally I haven't spoken to her, I haven't said anything to her in probably a few months. And she came into my office the other day and was complaining. It was just bitching essentially about stuff that was not important. And I was just like, really? Like, I haven't seen you in months. And the first thing, I am making
You're not gonna be
so
like, hey,
much money for
how
your
are you?
company.
How's everything going for
Yeah.
you?
Like, I am the reason that you have a job, okay? Because of what I do.
Mhm.
So for you to come in and just bitch to everyone in the office is just like, you just don't understand like human psychology, I guess.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just like,
Yeah.
read some articles. Like, this is simple. This is not like complex business. This is like human relationships,
Yeah.
you
That's
know?
a prime example of someone being in the wrong position.
Mhm.
Some people, that's the thing, and like people think
Yeah.
that management is a skill that can be taught, and it absolutely
It cannot. And I honestly,
100%.
I will be the first one to admit, I do not think I have the personality for it.
Really?
I really
Why do you
don't.
think that?
I really do not because I am, which I'm like, the older I get, the more I can feel my personality changing, but I've always been such a like people pleaser that I've been like, I'm always the first one to offer up, like, they'll be like, well, I need some help, or we gotta find coverage for this, or this needs to be done. I'm like, I'll do it.
That comes
You know?
with experience, because whenever I used to run the cell phone companies, I was very much so the same way. I was very passive, and it wasn't because I felt like I couldn't find that middle ground of connecting too much, because I got too invested with my team members. So it was like asking them to do something, it hurt my feelings, because I'm like, oh, I wouldn't want to do that either. So then I look at ways to help them. But I feel like now in my current position, I found I've learned through the years that sometimes it's not always a good thing to be like, there's like I said, that middle ground of being stern. You know, back then I had the connection, I had the knowledge, and I was like compassionate. I mean, yeah, I had compassion for the people that I worked with, but it was that stern piece that I was missing, and that stern piece is where your respect comes from your
I'm
team.
missing it now. I feel.
So I think it's something you learn over time.
I don't know.
do
It
you
really. I mean, it's
I don't
just
think
so
you
hard.
have to be. I don't think you have to be stern. I think that you have to show the mission to your team. I think if your team is on the same mindset as you and we're all working towards the same goal, then in that way it's like, hey, look, I would love to help you right now, but I know I have got so much on my plate. There's no possible way I can do it. There is literally no possible way. And if your team wants to, and if your team is also,
I can get you guys' opinion on this because
okay, go for it.
The millennial thing. So first of all, it says that 75% of the workforce will be millennials by 2030, which is like pretty.
Whoa.
But I think they class millennials as like people at 30 as well.
Yeah, they do.
So can you guess the average tenure of a millennial employee?
The average tenure?
So how long they stay at a company or?
I would
3
say,
years.
I would say like 18 months.
Yeah, 2 years.
Okay,
So
okay.
like, that's one of the things apparently that's
Different than
very
previous.
different from other
But it's
generations.
because of pension. I mean, essentially, back in the day, my parents have pensions, so once they retire, your parents do too. Once they retire, they'll continue to get paid. We work in a place where
we don't.
you don't
We
have
have
pension.
that.
You don't have we don't have pension.
So we can move back. Like, it wouldn't hurt.
There's no logical reason
To
stay with
but
the
it
company.
hurts us though because we're not accruing retirement.
Yeah.
So
Like think about
No, that's not true. You mean your 401k?
No, you can still add them to your 401k no matter where you go, but you have to make that choice. Back then,
The
it's
point-
built for you, so
Yeah.
you are like
Okay.
set up for success.
So let me explain this. So 401k and pension are two totally different things, right? So pension.
talk a little louder because I gotta pee. Sorry.
With you. Pension is whenever it's your company that says, like, if I work for General Electric, GE, like my grandma had this, right? If I work for you for whatever years, is it 25, 30, whatever, for 30 years, I work for GE, then for the rest of the time that I am alive, so if I live for another 5 years, or if I live another 30 years or 50 years, okay, they are going to pay me some percentage of what my ending salary was. So if I'm at the end of my time at GE, I'm making $100,000 a year, they may pay me $40,000 or $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
For the entire time, for the rest of my life, I get paid that.
Yeah.
Okay? So a 401k is a completely separate thing. It is when you take a portion of your income and you invest it. So your company essentially manages that. They allow for it.
But it's up
But
to
you are investing your
Yeah.
own money into a retirement fund, which is investing into other companies. Now, if you work for a good company, they're going to match your investment. So a lot of times it's like 3% or 5% or something like that, that you say, I put in 3% of my paycheck every month, and also my company puts in that same. If I put in $1,000, my company or $500, my company puts in $500. And then that money is being invested. Now, at the end of your retirement, so let's say you make it to 70 or something, because we're gonna have to work our entire lives.
Yeah.
Once you get to like 70 or something, you essentially start pulling from that pot.
Yeah. You have to wait till a certain point though to even
So
touch it.
one, that money could run out. Two, that money could have been invested in poor stocks, and you just didn't make very much money from it. But most of the time, you are going to make some amount of money. So you got $1 million or something that's going to last you for the next 30 years, which is a lot of time. And so you kind of have to plan out how you want how you want to spend your money until you die, which is a weird thing to say. Like, I'm going to guess I'll live to 90, so let's plan for that. You know what I mean?
It's very weird.
It's very strange. Where a pension is more just like, we're going to give you
Guaranteed.
$30,000 until you die. And so that's the reason. So if you go to another company, they're probably going to match you the same way in like a 401k.
But companies don't have pensions like
And
that
they're
anymore.
they're
nobody has
probably
pensions.
doing this because of that reason exactly. People
So
are
that's
not
why
staying.
People are bouncing.
Well,
Yeah.
no.
But I feel like that's
think
the reason why.
that's
I think
the
that's
reason.
the
That's an
effect of
effect.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you don't have any, if I don't have any reason to stay for this company, and I have an awful boss, or I'm not getting paid enough, or whatever, and I know that another company can pay me $1 more per hour,
Why not?
why not?
Why the
I don't
fuck
have
not?
any
Back
reason
then-
to stay.
Back then it was like, oh, I only have 5 more years to my retirement. I have 5 more years. Or, you had a countdown. There was an end date. And now there's no end date. Like, we as millennials, or like as just us, because millennial is such a broad term.
Yeah.
But like, we we know we're going to be working the rest of our lives. So it's like, why settle? Like, why not go for the best every time?
Absolutely.
Like, we can. We have no repercussions of it. We're not losing pension because 401k is transferable and it's all up to you. So basically, we are now making our own retirement. No longer are we depending on companies.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I feel like
It's
that's
not
why
a bad
millennials-
idea, honestly.
I know that's what I'm saying. That's why I think
No.
millennials have a better quality of life, and they like to like. But it also
We
is
like
like
work-life
there's a
balance
pros and
better.
a con.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
we
the
don't want to
thing.
work 50, 60
Yeah,
hours a week
no,
breaking
that's-
our back. Whereas the older generations, they're like, yeah, because they're like, well,
That's
I've
what
got...
you do.
That's
That
what
was a
you
norm.
do.
And
Yeah.
now it's kind of like
It was like
I
a
enjoy
moral
that.
thing, I think, to
Yeah.
be like, to be able to
Work
say,
hard.
to be able to say that you work 60 or 70 hours a week was like, oh wow, you're really providing for your family. And now it's like,
I
You
can get my
don't-
shit done in 40 hours. I may bust my ass.
Yeah, like,
But I'll get it done.
you don't understand the concept of work-life balance if you're working
No.
70
Yeah,
hours.
You
I'm not
don't.
gonna miss my children's games or their dance recitals because a meeting at work. I'm sorry, but
I think
I'm not.
quality of life has improved in people our age.
Well, as like an ethic or as a moral, like, we do definitely make that a priority for ourselves.
Yeah.
Which
So-
before our generations before us haven't.
This what was I think basically saying that the main things the millennials want is what you're saying, work-life balance, and like more basically like democracy. They want to have more involvement within the company.
Yeah.
They want
Make decisions
to. One
or
of the
help
main
make them.
things is that they don't want their boss to just like straight up
Micromanage.
tell them exactly what they
Yeah,
do. They
right.
want to have more like a mentor that they feel
Autonomy.
more of a personal connection to. Which I feel like all of those things
Yes.
are totally reasonable.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
saying that
There's
that's
not
not a norm.
that's
But if
not
you
like-
talk to an older person, they're like,
Yeah. Like
you're just
it
needy.
doesn't matter.
Like,
Totally, that's it.
no, you need to go in, do what you're told, and that's it.
No,
Like,
I think it
no.
definitely matters. Because I feel like, I don't know if it's just a generational thing, but I feel like creativity is a huge part of us. Whether it's, like, it doesn't have to like necessarily be artistic, but just creativity and being allowed to use, like, come up with concepts on our own and play them out.
yeah.
Like, for me, especially, like, one thing I learned in management, like, even managing big teams, is, like, what Emily was saying with her students. Like, everyone is so different in their own way, and everyone has a different learning style. So you have to be able to adapt to every single person. And
Yeah.
that's a whole different, like, you literally have to change your learning type. But if someone were to tell you, like, here's the cookie cutter way, and everyone needs to get trained in that way, like a micromanager would, it limits me, because now I
Yeah.
can't go beyond that. You built a wall, and now I can't, like, surpass that. I can't use my own, like, problem solving skills, and that's what you hired me for. So it's, I don't know, it's like one of those weird things. I think Emily was telling me a quote by Steve Jobs. It was like, well, damn it, Emily, what was that quote by Steve Jobs about hiring, like, we hire knowledgeable people?
I don't know who it was by, but I think
It was
the
Steve
one that you're
Jobs.
talking about is the one. It's like, if you hire smart people, you kind of want.
Like, yeah, so, I don't know.
It's
but
like, take advantage of the fact they're smart. Like, don't tell them what to
Yeah,
do.
you
Like,
don't have to
like
do
yeah, if you
everything
micromanage
yourself.
someone
You
who's
could- you
already
couldn't-
intelligent, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, we
really
hire
not.
smart people, so let's let them use their intelligence to better the company
Yeah.
rather than just dictating
Yeah.
what they do.
It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so
They
They
can
can
tell
tell-
us what to do.
There we go. Who's that?
That's Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, yeah.
Mhm.
I was told today that snapping was not a thing anymore for the black community. It was clapping.
You've been clapping non-stop for so long. That's something you just do. Like, ever since I've known you, you've done that.
We clapped
I
today.
think it's transitioned to the white community because Brooke was snapping at me the other day.
I think that's called cultural appropriation. But okay. So I think that's a word.
Does it work that way?
I mean, yeah, if you say, like, it's transitioned to the white community. No, it didn't transition. You stole it. There's a difference.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
they were like, oh, that's cool. Well, we'll do
'Cause-
that now.
We're gonna do that now.
Steve Urkel. But he's black.
You're right. But dresses like a white man.
He dresses like a white
I
man.
love talking about race with my students because it's like all of them are such different races. And so we jokingly, genuinely it was jokingly, but they were like, Miss Emily, you're just racist. You're just racist. If I like tell one student to do something, I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with this. Like, you need to go do it. They're like, it's because you're racist. I'm like,
That's not.
It's because you're not working.
Yeah.
So go do something.
I was like, if I'm racist, I literally said, if I'm racist, I'm the worst racist in the world. Because, like, I'm sorry, I'm a bad racist.
You are. You're hanging out with too many brown folks.
Too many.
One too many.
The white supremacists would be upset with me.
Yeah, I don't think you please
Okay.
them very much.
When you meet someone, though, and you're having conversations, and after a while, you're like, oh, you're racist. Like, you
That's
have
what
this
that-
That's a
realization
thing.
where you're just like, oh, dear.
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
I
Like,
gotta say, that's definitely an experience I've never had.
And a lot of it comes,
Never
and it's so
realized
sad,
someone
but
was
so
racist
much
until
comes
it.
from the upbringing, the family.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
it is.
That's one thing I definitely. It was like whenever I came to Princeton, was one of the things that I noticed was a lot of the like girls who were into those like ethnic guys. They were so secretive about it, and for me, it was always confusing because I'm like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
why is that a problem? And I remember one of the friends that I had with, she liked a guy and he happened to be black. You know, like it was it's one of those
Yeah.
things you don't see color. Like, you know, you just
Yeah,
love the person
there-
you
and
want to
there's-
love. And
it's
but then
crazy
I
to me.
remember she would like talk to me about it, and I just was like, well, why don't you just talk to him? And she's like, you don't understand. Like, I
Yeah.
can't.
Her family was
I
just,
physically cannot. And it was so like, and not,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like my family wasn't that way. Whenever one of my first boyfriends was black, and mom definitely had a problem with it. Like, she's just like, it was an obvious thing she was bothered by, but it was like one conversation and it was done.
Right.
Like, this is why I can't believe like this is like you're actually judging someone by this. And then she realized she was being absolutely insane, and it was better after that. But it's like people don't have that choice. Like, they can't
No.
speak reason to people that
and you
are
can't
just.
change your skin fucking color. When I used to like,
I mean,
you know, when they used to hang out at like the concession stand area, like in the mornings, like that was. I mean, it was at Princeton. That was like the hangout
yeah, no,
spot.
I used to hang out there too.
No, and I would like when I was going through high school and I would have those friends, and sometimes I would go hang out in that corner
Yeah.
and stuff. I'm not kidding. Principals and teachers would go tell my mom.
No way.
Yes,
I believe that.
and be like, "You need to talk to her, and she does
This
not need to
is-
be over there."
But this is the problem with the school that we went to. It was a very accepting
sad.
school. It changed my life in the best ways possible.
Yeah,
but
it's
there
a
was a
good
lot
school.
of closet racism.
So I have two students.
Definitely.
One's black, one's white. The black one is clearly poor and love him. I love him dearly. But his teacher basically told two guys,
They were in the white ones.
BFFs. She told the white one, she just said, you need to stop hanging out with him because if you don't, you're either going to end up dead or in prison.
Just by hanging out with this kid? Is he a bad kid?
He's a lovely person. He's an incredible human being. I love him to death.
Does he do some
Super
drugs?
sweet, super
Does he
kind.
do
That's
drugs?
probably why she's like. "You
I
need
don't
to get
think
away
that
from
he
him."
does drugs, but I think his family is he's from the bad part of town, and I just,
So it's just the
People are very easy
stereotypical,
to write people off that way.
judgmental. Yeah.
It's like they chose it. Like they were out
Oh,
of
I'll
the
be
womb
very
and they
open and
said, "Hey,
honest.
I get to choose to be like upper class or lower class." Lower
Yeah.
class.
I
It's not a fucking
choose to
button.
be lower class.
Yeah, no one chooses it.
You
Yeah.
don't look at the color of their skin.
Yeah.
You look at how they treat you, how they treat other people. Like it just. I'm one of those, like, I don't see color. I
Yeah.
see ignorance, whether you're white, black, Asian, whatever. If you're ignorant, then, I mean, I don't want nothing to do with you, no matter what the color of your skin is.
Yeah.
But if you're just a nice, respectful person that puts good out into the world, I don't care.
That's how it should be.
And it is how it
That's how
should
it
be.
should
Well, when one of my friends started dating a black guy, her parents were basically her parents told her, you are not going to be able to have any friends if
Yeah.
you start dating a black guy. And I just remember
What?
her just being
Where's the
like,
correlation?
yeah,
Look at
that,
George's face.
like they said that
I don't want
like
to be their friend anyway.
they believed because of the way they grew up that all of her girlfriends were going to just completely abandon her because she was dating a black guy. And so they were worried about her, which is insane because it's
Yeah.
like, your parents do really care about you. They want you the best for you and stuff. And so anyway, I just remember her telling me, like, my parents think that none of my friends are going to want to be my friends if I date a black guy. And I'm like, let me go talk to them and tell them
they're wrong.
They're wrong.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Like, it's not even
And not to,
even
like,
a thing.
focus, like, even if it was, like, in any other race. I mean, let's be honest.
Of course.
I mean, but
You know, this is a very American problem, right?
it is.
Because
No,
like,
it's not.
No, I can't speak for.
In certain
I've
states
heard.
it is.
I have heard, like, in the UK, it's definitely
George.
different. Yeah, so you can be, you know, my.
No, but he's so biased. So
You are,
he grew up in
but-
a different part.
Well, I'll speak to what I do know. So, in Honduras, we have different parts of our country that have different skin tones.
Exactly.
So, like, for instance, if you're from, like, La Ceiba, which is, if I'm not, I don't even want, geographically, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it's, like, more, like, south.
Is
But,
it on the
um,
map?
More towards the equator.
I'm not exactly.
Where they get
I'm not
more.
a specialist or anything, but what I do know is that in La Ceiba, like, we have dark, like, that's everybody knows. Like, if you see a darker skinned Honduran,
It's on
he's
the
from La
map.
Ceiba, or he's from, like, these, like, there's
Right,
like a couple.
right.
There's a couple little cities or little, you know, little places that we know that they're from, and then you have, like, my cousin. She is literally your complexion, like.
Yeah.
Super
White.
white features.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then there's me, like
I'm
the brown,
pasty.
mulattoes, like there's those middles, but no one, like, there's no such thing as, like, oh, people from my Saba are dirty, they're nasty, they're this, they're that. It's not even a thing. And I remember I have had a conversation with someone, and they're just like, yeah, in, like, the UK, it's not like, no one ever thinks that way. It's not like, oh, this person. Now, like, for instance, in Asian countries, it's absolutely different. Like,
Right.
being, you know, darker skin is absolutely not seen as, like, beautiful or, like,
Yeah.
acceptable. So that's different. But I know, like, in Central and South America, and as well from what I've heard personally in Europe, it's not so much, like, that's not the first thing that goes through people's mind. Like, they will think, yeah, like, this person is poor because they come from a poor place, but not because of the color of their skin. Here, it's very much so, we don't give a shit what your background is.
Right.
What you came from. You can be a millionaire and be a black person and still be treated wrong. Still
Be
be
driving
treated
around
wrong
a
by the
Maserati
police
and they're like-
officers. Like, you're being judged simply off
That's
of the
interesting.
melatonin.
I never
and
thought
the
about
the
that
melanin
in that
that's
way.
in.
Is definitely, like, legitimately the biggest culture shock and the thing that I have the main problem with. And, like, I have
That's
to tell
crazy.
people when I came back to England, like, there are some seriously, insanely hateful, racist people that I met quite regularly. People would say horrible things about black people. It seems to be specifically about black people.
Yes.
And Mexicans as well, though.
Yeah,
But
with
then
no other reason other than
say,
the fact that
they'll
they're skin
say it
tone.
like
Right.
they're just bringing it up to me. I'm not bringing it up. They start talking
Because
about it.
they're
They say these
uneducated.
horrible things, and
Yeah.
I'm like, every time I'm shocked by it because I'm like,
Yeah.
why
It is
are you
shocking.
talking about this, and why do you think this way? And I do genuinely just think that. I mean, definitely there's racists in England. For
Yes.
sure there's racists in England. For sure there's racists everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah,
But
but is it
it's
different?
Yeah,
But I recognize
don't
what
hear
you're
people
saying.
bring it up. I don't hear people like I have
Yeah.
never in my life heard someone in England bring up like something genuinely hateful.
Yeah,
You know,
like, we have
towards
there's
people.
genuine hatred in
Yeah.
people's hearts.
But
for
it's
that
like
shit.
based on literally just
No way.
that, you know, like
Don't you
and
put that
and
on?
it seems like a popular thing that people bring up, and the thing that I think it is that it's to do with identity within the South, because it's an interesting thing. If you look at a map of how people
Yeah.
identify, most people, for instance, in North Carolina, identify as their heritage. You've got like quite a big population where they'll identify as African heritage.
Yeah.
The South has like a big black population.
Yeah.
But you'll have this huge population as well that identify as straight up American. And
That's
it's like,
Yeah.
basically.
America.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, I,
know, but
can't
there's-
say
it's
that
a
any
weird
other
to
thing
just straight up
is.
say,
I'm
I
a
am
Caucasian.
And it's like,
Caucasian.
what does that mean?
Don't you
What
think
is-
of yourself
what
as
is
American?
White culture?
Yeah.
Like, what is,
Yeah.
That's
and
what you're saying.
the white culture
What
is
Where
other
I'm from.
thing would you say?
Confederate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
essentially, like Confederate South.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
like, they see their identity as being somehow linked to being like slave owners, or at least like
Yeah.
kind of
It's
this,
like a shame
this
to it.
weird history that's very recent. So
Yeah.
they're like, you know, America. We looked up. America's only like 200 or something years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
That's
250.
so- that's
Well,
so
I
recent.
see, like, I know a lot, I know when you're talking about, like, culture and white culture, I see this a lot in, like, Hispanic and Black communities where it's like they like to pretend like whites don't have any culture because they, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I definitely think whites have culture. It's just, it's not, I don't know. I just feel like we as in like people with a lot of like cultural history, as in like African Americans, you know, it's very much like influential in
Been
like
through
culture.
so many
And then,
things
like,
in history.
South American, Central American people, like they have a lot of culture and a lot of traditions. It's not much here, like in the same way
Yeah.
where they're passionate about
We
it.
got Christmas.
So yeah, so it's like, you know, it's like these one-off chances. So it's kind of like this weird thing where it's like we kind of write off you guys' culture because we think ours is more important. But we all have our culture. You guys might not be as uniform and so
We don't have as
vivacious about it because, you know, we have like our parades
traditional.
and like Dia de las Muertes. We have, you know, there's different days that we celebrate and we have. It's just, it's like a different thing. Like, you know, you go to, like in Honduras, they have festivals and they have like dresses and there's dancing and there's this and there's that. But even like I feel like in the Dutch folks have that as well, right? You know, like in more
Yeah, I mean,
Dutch
they're
folks
definitely,
and
like,
like, everyone has culture and those people are considered white.
Yeah, it's also-
So
I
it
think
doesn't
that
mean like
one of the most
white people don't have culture.
one of the most interesting things about Dayton, George, has been that I've been able to see our community from sort of like a third party perspective, like
Yeah.
third
Looking
person, I
in.
guess. And we 100% have culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we don't see it as culture because it's all around us.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's your norm.
So like the idea of like how we decorate our homes, the
Mhm.
cars we drive, the types of roads we have, the graveyards, like the festivals we have, all of the like community events where we have like little festivals
Yeah.
for like Memorial Day and stuff like that. All of that is super American and probably super white. I mean, because
It
white
is.
people have dominated America. We understand that. And so it's not that
Unwillingly, to add.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, white people in America definitely have their own culture. I think it's hard to see it if you're not kind of outside of
Do
it.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
think that there's a big difference between culture in like Arizona, California, which is like Spanish?
Yeah,
To
for
me,
sure.
North Carolina was British colony
Yeah.
until 1776.
Yeah.
So
Or like Texas.
yeah,
you know,
Texas
'cause
as well. That's going to be like
Mexican.
super different. Like to me, it's almost shockingly similar. Like it's pretty rare that you go to another country. Like you guys could come to England and you'd be sort of like, oh yeah, there's all these differences. Like everything
Yeah,
is sort
for
of
sure.
different. But at
Culture
the same
shock.
time, like
Yeah.
you sort of just blend right in because it's so similar as
Yeah.
well. Like compared to most places, it really is so similar. We have the same, you know, celebrations and we do the same stuff. We like doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty much the arc of our lives is like pretty much exactly the same. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
like that everywhere. It might just be like the language and we have
And it's
similarities
just
in our
human.
society.
Being a human
Yeah,
is
I mean-
is pretty basic. I mean, we understand what humans like. We all like to get together. We all like to have these little parties. We all like to drink and eat and
Yeah. It doesn't
we
matter
all like
what
all
the
these
celebration is for.
things.
Yeah.
God
It's-
damn it, we love to
Honestly,
drink.
It's,
you
it's
know?
ridiculous whenever you think about Christmas and you think about that's a Christian holiday. Okay, but is it?
No, but I'm drinking.
Is it a
some
Christian
wine and
But even if you're not
presents
Christian, do you
and-
still celebrate? Because it's a cultural thing, and you're just like, nah, whatever.
It's definitely a cultural thing.
So it's
It's so
vague.
funny, and this is my like last input I'll put on this topic. Well, I was having a conversation with my nana, and she was telling me about like her growing up and her jobs
Mr.
and
B's
stuff.
wife.
No, my dad's mom,
Okay.
and she worked in a factory all her life. I
Yeah.
mean, they're straight up like just southern like low class.
Gotcha.
I mean, they're not even middle
Gotcha.
class, but she worked in a factory her whole life, and she went from one factory to another. She was making $8 an hour at the
That's
factory she
good
was
money
living to.
back in the day.
Oh, but then she was making almost $15 an hour at this new factory she started working at. But she was like, I just didn't really like it. She was like, because I've never worked with so many blacks before. That was her quote.
Whoa.
Yes, and I was like, that's interesting. She was like, well, you know, I just never really been around it. I mean, literally, her growing, she had never, back in the day, she had never really been around African Americans. And
That's
she was,
insane.
she was like, there was just so many blacks working in the factory with me. Blacks is what she called them. And I was just like, huh.
So did she quit or she stayed?
She stayed. She was like,
She
it was an
worked with the
adjustment.
blacks.
Yeah, she was.
Whoa.
Yeah, she was like, it was an adjustment. She was like, but I stayed, and that's what I had to do. And I was just like,
I mean, it's understandable
yeah.
only because, like, I remember I used to be in a church, and I remember them having like a black, or like, it was like an African American preacher or something like that. It was very, very strange the way that they worded it. And I remember talking to my mom about it, and she was just like, she pointed out to me, she was like, do you see that they have in here African American preacher? And I was just like, yeah, that's
yeah,
weird.
what does it matter?
And she's like, what? We're talking, how do you like, yeah. And I just remember being like, yeah,
That's always my
That's
thing.
weird.
It has no
but it does
correlation
a bit.
to their, like, who they are as a person, though.
But
like,
it does a bit. It does a bit. Right?
no, I mean,
Right.
I really think it does a bit. Not does a bit, but only, like, I mean, if they grew up in
Carla's
quote
like,
unquote,
you're racist.
no,
Okay.
quote unquote, like a more low income part of town, and that's how they were brought up. So they had a different way of living. They had a different, like, terminology maybe that they used because maybe they lived in a town that sold a lot of drugs, and so they learned. They grew up different. But I don't think it has any effect because there could have been a white family in the same building, you know, and they're learning the same thing.
But do you
It's
not
all-
think that black culture is a bit different than white culture?
100%.
100%.
In what way, though?
But
I mean, I
Only
agree that they have
in-
their
in-
own distinct culture,
in what
but
I feel
Yeah.
like only in what they find important. Yeah.
Like what?
They
Give examples.
because they
So for them, they're very like the ownership. It's like ownership of their people, and so it's like
because they
like,
went through slavery.
history.
They went through
Like history itself. Like I think
Yeah.
that the culture of African American folks is all about the history and what they've been through and what they've overcome and having the
history has
disadvantages.
to affect.
But if you think about it, white
history
people
has
also
to
went
affect
through
that.
it in the Holocaust with the Jews.
Yes, but think
white-
about the timeline of like Nazi Germany and then the timeline of slavery.
You
Like
know?
it's not comparable by no
No.
means. And I think
But
what we
also-
also have to be able to admit
Mhm.
is that people of minorities have an absolute disadvantage from off the gate,
100%.
and it has nothing to do with who
That's
they
why
are
they
as a
have all
person
these
and their work
scholarships for
ethic
minorities.
and their certifications, because we have disadvantages. Like we have,
Mhm.
like honest to God, I've seen it with my own eyes. We have to work twice as hard, and if you're a woman, you have to work 3 times as hard. If you're a minority, like a woman that's a minority, it's even more difficult. It's unheard of. It's like it's really crazy to think about because, like, for instance, like today we had a store visitor, right? Somebody really big came from our company, and yesterday they were talking about what we were gonna wear, and I was like, what? What do you mean? What am I gonna wear? She goes, yeah, you're gonna put you need to put makeup on. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not. Why do I have to put makeup on? Like, why do I have to dress up if a man can just if my HR manager can come in here and look just
wearing
fine?
the same thing.
Why
wearing
do you?
khakis
And then
and
of
a
course they
Target
weren't.
shirt.
They
Like,
weren't
what the
telling
fuck
me I
does it
had to
matter?
dress up, but they were just talking about what they were gonna
Implying.
wear, implying that they were gonna just spruce it up a little bit. And to me, it felt like if I was a man, I wouldn't have to do that. My work ethic alone would get me by. But because I'm a woman, not only do I have to be a full package. Like, I have to have it all.
100%.
Not only do I have to
100%.
have the looks, I have to have the attitude, I have to have the personality, I have to be likable, I also have to be very capable. Like, it's a multifaceted thing you have to be. But if you're a minority, fool.
That's all good.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a
But
comment
if
to
you're a
make about
minority, yeah.
this.
I feel like there's a definite disadvantage. So I feel like I understand why African American people feel like that culture, that pride is so important to them, because they're just like, no, you guys have been muting us and have been muting our history for years. We're not in the history books. We're not taught in schools.
They're in America.
This is our
and they're not
time.
going anywhere.
The
They
millennial, like
shouldn't.
this African American millennial movement that we have, like Black Lives Matter and all that. I feel like it's definitely like a multitude of them being like, you will no longer put us in the background. We are no longer a one-off chance. Like, we are just like you, and we are just as important. Our history is just as important. What we've gone through is just as important. Our triumphs are just as important.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and of course you have those groups that are obviously like super too much.
Too much,
Too
yeah,
much,
absolutely.
you know,
like the
that's every-
ones that
that's
are like
crowd.
picking a fight with the old white
Yeah,
man in
or
the middle of
killing
the
cops
street.
in the middle of the street,
I mean,
like,
that's excessive.
There's definitely like an extremist.
But we're talking about people that grew up with us that have the exact same level of education as us, that should have the exact same advantages as us, that sometimes don't, or most times don't. And so it's like,
it's wrong.
Now we're in a position where black people and white people have received the same education, and they're on the same level. And then it's like, if black people are still being treated less than, it's almost like you can't blame it on education. You can't say that I'm less educated or I'm less able, because I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just as smart. I'm just as capable. And I thought about a situation when I was in high school. Like, there was a black girl, that was part of the whole group. And I remember we all, especially like senior year of high school, we would wear like sweatpants, a t-shirt, and like tennis shoes. And we were like,
we didn't care.
and our hair was a mess. And we were just a mess. We were a mess. And I remember there was a black girl that did the same thing, right? She wore her sweatpants, she wore a t-shirt, she wore some tennis shoes or whatever. She was doing her thing. And I remember that being deemed unacceptable or too sloppy. Where when white people did it, it was kind of like, oh, she's just being casual today.
Yeah.
But when a black person did it, it was like,
oh, no.
That's a thing.
oh, it's because you're black. That's the reason you're dressed like a slob, is because you're black. And it's like, she was hanging out with me. That's the reason she was hanging out with
tired
us.
this morning, woke up late.
She
threw
was
that on
being
to get to
lazy.
school on
She
time.
was lazy, just like all of us were our senior year of high school. She was just being lazy.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with anything, you know.
I mean, it's real issues, and people like to think it's not an issue because it's just easier for them to think that way.
Yeah.
And I think in bigger cities or in places, we grew up in a place where race was an issue. I mean, I think that it's kind of comparative to like the way that people see like sexuality, and like we grew up in a town where being gay was not okay.
No.
We grew up in a town where, you know, dating a black guy was not okay. So we're kind of from this perspective of the small town thing.
We do have a small town mentality.
And it's different. I know it's different. I get that if you grew up in some big city or just even some progressive town or whatever, it might not be relevant to you. But I think for a lot of people in the world, it is relevant. I think that for a lot of people in the U.S. and like smaller towns and like rural areas, that racism was definitely a thing.
Yeah.
This is not something that's gone away. This isn't, and you know, and I think we have this idea that kind of racism is kind of done. Like, no, it's not. It's not
even close.
Even like sexuality and like being gay. Being gay, I think everybody is just like, who cares? Like, I do not care who you fuck. I don't care who you fuck, right?
Why should you?
Why should you? But we live in a culture where people still care who you fuck.
Yeah.
And it's like, we can't disregard the fact that there are a lot of people who do care about that kind of thing and who do think you're a sinner. You're going to hell. You know, and
there's always the thing of like, they're your parents. You have to listen to your parents.
Yeah.
You have to obey your parents, and blah, blah. But that's the thing.
Do you when you're 26?
Well, that's the thing. No,
do you?
No, even in high school, when you're really starting to develop, and
17 years
you're realizing
old,
like
things
are wrong, or maybe you don't agree. Like, yes, of course, maybe I see it in their eyes. That's how they were raised. That's what they think is right.
Exactly.
But you don't have to follow that, and you don't. I mean, like, there comes a point where
it's time to make your own decision.
Absolutely.
I mean, I mean, that's the thing. That's a part of growing up, right? It's just it's being able to be yourself. I mean, the person I was in high school was absolutely not who I am today, because when I was in high school, I had a lot to prove to myself and to other people. So I felt like I was just a mirror image of everyone else, and like I picked up little traits that everyone had, and I became, And it's not until I became into my adulthood where I was like, nope, I don't have any passion for that thing. Like, just because everyone else has passion
and that's
for
who
it.
I am.
And yeah, you learn that it's okay to disagree with folks, and it's okay to not have the same
even your family.
thought.
Even
And
your
I think-
friends.
yeah, and I-
like,
but I
as
think
long as
people-
everyone respects one another.
Yeah, I think people get tied up into that, and they're just like, oh, well, you know, like, I don't know if you've, like, I watch a lot of YouTubers and shit, and there's, like, this whole community of, like, people who are, like, big and famous, and then they come back to, like, somebody will bring up a tweet of something they've done in the past, like, Jeffree Star, for instance, like, he was, like, super, like, outwardly, like, disrespectful and racist and like would say just crazy, absolute, absurd shit back in MySpace days, right? People bring that
MySpace,
right?
forgot
I'm
that
telling you.
existed. Okay.
And
I hope nobody looks at MySpace.
Yes.
My MySpace.
My
I
top
don't want to
three
look at my
friends.
I
MySpace.
don't either.
Oh, you got a top 8,
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah. So
You had to have your boyfriend, but you
But-
had to have your best friend before your boyfriend.
I mean,
You're gonna
honestly,
be
it was
hearing
serious
it the
as
next
shit.
day.
But there was like these videos that leaked of him years and years ago. These videos have been like a thing.
At least 20,
At
because
least,
God.
yeah.
I
no,
mean,
this was like probably 15 years
15.
ago.
Middle school.
But
But
he
still,
he
I
was
mean,
saying some really
come
racist
on.
shit, and then it literally like surfaced
It comes back
years
up.
ago, like literally 2 or 3 years ago, and there was a whole
Yeah.
scandal. And it's like, why is it so hard to believe that someone can change their outlook? You know what
That's
I mean?
true.
Like, why is it?
You grow, you
why
live,
can't
you learn.
just? I mean, I understand if you said that in the past, and then you kept doing little shit here and there to kind of
Isn't
like
that the goal?
insinuate.
To
That's
be
the
a better
thing,
person.
to grow. Isn't that the whole point? It's like, hey,
Yes.
it's okay to point something out. Like, hey, what you thought, like what you said was not okay. Or like, how do you feel about it now?
You take responsibility.
Yeah, and you're like,
and
damn, that was fucked up. I can't believe I used to think that way. And that should be
Yeah.
it. That should be the end of the conversation.
It
Like,
is
there
what it
shouldn't be
is.
any more than that.
And I think, like, we want consistency with our personalities,
Yeah.
right? Like, you don't want to be one person one day and another person the next day.
Yeah.
But the reality is,
Sometimes I am.
sometimes you are. Sometimes I go in and I'm, like, super nervous and I don't know why. And I'm just being, like, super awkward. And then, like, a week later, I'll come in and I'll be like, oh, yeah, it's all
Hey,
good.
Yeah.
I'm chill. I'm good to go. And I'm, like, super friendly.
Yeah.
And I think that I've had to accept that people should expect that I change from day to day.
Yeah.
So
No,
sometimes
yeah, for
I
sure.
am nervous, and then sometimes I'm not,
Yeah.
and then I can't.
Oh,
I
got
can't
called.
do anything about it. I mean,
got
it's-
called into our HR office
No, you
because
didn't. No, you
I
didn't.
was noticed as being different.
Wait,
What?
Yes.
When was this?
You got called into your HR office for an attitude change, a personality change?
A
or what?
personality change.
Stop it. When?
It's probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago.
But what exactly, like, what
Oh,
was
I
the
was straight up. I
conversation?
said, I'm depressed. I said, I'm
Wow.
No, no,
depressed.
no, no, no.
I
What,
never
what
did
did they
one of
say
those
to you? What did they say to you?
He was just like, I've noticed a bit of a change. He was like, you're just not who you were when you first started. You're not as bubbly. You're not as upbeat. Like, you know, I'm here. What's going on? He approached it very well.
Oh, that's good.
Very, yeah.
Our
very
HR
nice about
guy.
it.
That's a
so-
weird.
He's such an HR
All
guy.
HR
Yeah,
guys
he's
are-
such
Are
an
you
HR
kidding
guy.
me?
He was very good about it, and I was open. He was just like, "What's going on?" And I was just like, "I'll be honest." I was like, "I'm depressed. I'm dealing with depression. I'm dealing with anxiety." Well, no, I was like, "I'm dealing with depression." And as the conversation continued, he was like, "Have you ever struggled with anxiety?" And I'm like, "100%, absolutely," which I never used to, but within the last like year and a half, I definitely have. And he was just like.
Okay.
He was like, okay, well, if there's anything I can do to help, if you need anything, if you just need to come in and talk, I'm here.
That's good.
Yeah. But also, it was a bit alarming, like, when someone notices, like, your personality change and they, like, which I know 100% it was happening. But
you think
when
it affected you to, like, recognize that other people were recognizing it?
Probably, because usually I try to put on like not necessarily a facade, but I at least try to continue my like smile at everybody, say hello, you know, that whole deal. But
So, obviously, people were seeing something deeper. That's really interesting. I feel like I
It
know you
was.
super well, and so for me, it's like almost offensive that someone would bring it up this far out. It's kind of like, this is what I've been the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to be like that, but it's kind of like, this is who I am. This is what I struggle with.
Yeah.
And this is how I deal with. This is how I cope.
Yeah, I told him, I'm like, I'm seeking, I've been doing the things I need to do to cope with it, to deal with it, and to kind of grow from it. And I was like, I'm doing what I can. I was like, and that's about it. I'm like, I'm living life day by day. And he was open with me too. He was like, I'll be honest. He was like, my 20s were some of the darkest years and times of my life. He was like, 20s are hard. They're difficult.
They are very difficult.
I mean, they are. You're trying to figure out who you are, what you want to be, and what your purpose is going to be in the world. I mean, it's difficult.
I think that has a lot to do with the older generation, though. I think older generation, they were, like, you know, we talked about millennials now, and they like to bounce back and forth in their, like, work-life balance, and back then there wasn't. So people our age back then already had it figured out, because they knew they were going to work at this company for 50 years. So it was like, they knew what they were doing at our age. And in our day and age, we don't know what 10 or 15 years down the road is going to look like.
I have no idea.
Honest to God, like, I don't even fucking see this planet living past, like, my retirement.
No, I
so
don't.
it's kind of like, you know, like, now we have, like, we're like, we should
There's so
have
many
it figured
questions.
out. There's so much stigma to what we should
So
be,
much
what level
stigma.
we should be. But I think everyone needs to take a step the fuck back and realize we're all in different walks of life.
Yeah.
It's okay if we don't have it figured out. Like,
And to bring
we will
in-
figure it out.
To bring in Joe Rogan, because I was listening to his podcast the other day, I mean, he was like, if you think about it, these students, like, when they're continuing in their education, they come out of college with thousands, like tens of $1,000s in debt.
Mm-hmm.
And the job market is so shitty, and they're struggling to find a job to even pay for those student loans. And I am product of it. Like,
You all went to college?
I have thousands of dollars. I'm not going to specify.
How much?
I have thousands of dollars in debt.
How much?
I have about 10,000. I'm probably 8,000 now at this point.
I have 35.
At 30.
Fucking
$35,000
You guys went
in
to a
debt.
4-year college.
You come out of school and you're like, how am I going to pay this back? My credit is fucked right now because of it. Because it's like, I mean, it's ridiculous. And you think about it, like, no wonder we're fucking depressed.
Yeah.
We have all this money to pay back, and probably in our minds right now, no end in sight. I'm like, how long is it going to take me to pay this back?
Cost of living is higher.
Cost of
Wages
living.
are lower.
Mm-hmm.
We have an
Benefits are
incredible
shitty.
over our head amount of debt to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like
It's a
nothing
real
is
struggle.
obtainable.
Nothing's attainable.
I feel-
But it is.
I
It
feel
is so
terrible
obtainable.
because I have about 30 grand in debt, but I didn't receive all that debt. My parents received
No
a
way.
lot of it. They
My
had
parents received maybe like $5,000 in it, but I'm paying them
no
to pay that.
way, man. My parents have.
They
My
can't-
parents are still paying back my brother. They might be done with my brothers now, but anyway, they received the parent loans as well. So as a student loan, you can only receive a certain amount, and then essentially like every semester you have to tack on this parent
Yeah,
debt,
Mom is
student loan
paying that for my
debt
sister.
as well, and it's under their name. So like, I feel terrible because it's like, that's my student loans that my parents are paying back right now, and they pay on it. They pay way too much every month, and it's a terrible situation, especially for someone who makes what I make. It's like, I don't think that I got the value that I put in to college. And I don't think that anybody, I mean, some
I don't
people
think anybody
do.
does though.
If
Well,
you
it
go
depends
to
on
school,
if it's like a technical trade but I think those more broad degrees are what people are finding such a hard time finding jobs in, and jobs aren't easy to find anymore. It's fucking weird. It's a really weird little time to be honest with you. That's why like I didn't ever go to a 4-year degree. I didn't get a 4-year degree because that's just was like
Honestly,
I
it's
just
kind of
couldn't.
pointless.
Wait, what did you go to college for?
I went for accounting and business management.
Cool.
So it was obviously like that. I feel like that's a trade, in a way. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's a very specific genre to go to.
Accounting's
school
hard.
for. Yeah, it's fucking hard. But it's crazy, because like, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I know I've mentioned it to Emily before, but like my sister, She went to, like, she got her 4-year degree in nursing. And
that's hard.
she literally
to do.
was like, I truly 100% believe that college is not meant for learning. It's just meant to see if you can get past it. And then she's like, you know why? She's like, because I didn't learn anything until I started my job. I was trained on site.
Or they do like
She
their
was like,
clinicals,
yeah.
and you see
and
work
I was
experience.
Like, because she didn't do clinicals in college. Like, she worked her last year at Duke because they had signed a contract over, and they were like, we'll pay some of your student loans. I'll just work here for a couple years and train here. And I was like, so when did you start learning to, like, do stuff? And she told me she didn't even learn how to, like, do IVs until she started working.
Wow.
Like,
That's
they
crazy.
taught her that. You would think that that's
Nurses,
what
they take
college
care
is
of our
about,
health.
you know? It's like she learned on site. And it may be different. Obviously, I'm not an expert in the field, but, like, you know, maybe different hospitals or different, I don't know. I mean, it's a fucking nursing degree. I don't see how different it could be. But she was like, after going through 4 years of school, yes, I learned nothing. Like, everything I learned, and even, believe it or not, well, you probably already know this, but doctors are the same way.
They're fucking.
Doctors
I'm gonna go
literally
ahead
will
and say
be like, symptoms.
there's so many
Looking through a
crooked
book.
doctors out there
Looking through a book.
that have gone through medical school and they take your fucking money. That's all they do. You go and see them.
Yeah.
They're gonna diagnose you whatever the
depends.
fuck they want to. What's gonna earn them money.
It depends on what
And
they
do
work
it. There
at.
are
Like,
so many crooked doctors out there. It is
see, it's not the doctors
crazy.
half the time, though. It's the hospitals, it's the corporations they work for.
It's
Hospitals are just as much of a
crazy.
corporation as
It
a fucking
is.
retail company.
It is.
So,
I work in a hospital
but
and I
private
see it
practices-
firsthand. Like, half
Private
the
practices
half
are different,
the
though,
people
right?
Yeah.
Oh, way.
I don't know. The doctor. Okay, so I go and see a doctor, and she has a she's affiliated with Johnson Health, but it's her own doctor's office. And I'm sorry, but when you have an appointment at 9:00 and you don't get seen till 10:30, you get seen for 15 minutes, and you're charged. Your insurance and charge however much.
Exactly.
It's crazy, and it's just crazy to me. And I know that healthcare is needed, but honestly, I feel like we need more holistic healthcare than what's provided out there, because
You know, they say that, I feel like we talked about it with Justin in our last podcast about, you know, how, like, the medical industry makes more money off of, like, medicating versus curing. So I think it's a lot of things. It's like, there's so many holistic approaches that are actually proven to work
To
more
help.
efficiently.
It's
And
sick
more
care, not
dependency.
health care.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like
they're
it
going to
would never be a
prescribe
thing.
you something that sometimes may make you more sick, so that they can prescribe you something else.
Yeah.
Because it's all money in their pockets. It all gets filtered.
I gotta say, this podcast got really fucking dark.
Darn, we are tackling some real
Yeah,
issues.
So
like-
really quickly, George's
our last
mom,
thing.
like, she got prescribed. I know he's told us a few times, but like, she got prescribed to go to the gym. So like, the doctor was like, "Hey, you know what? You need to be exercising." And you think about like,
But you can do that without a gym.
yeah, but you think about like depression and like what depression means or anxiety and stuff like that, and we know. I mean, if you Google it, you'll understand that.
I didn't even realize I was
eating
depressed until
healthy-
probably like a year in, or maybe
Damn.
6 months in.
Eating healthy, exercising, talking to people, like being in conversation with people,
Being around
having
people that you
community.
care about, and care about you.
Those are the cures. Those are like the real cures for depression.
Oh, I've told y'all, when I come and hang out with you guys and I leave feeling better than I have in a long time, because having that interaction with people that I care about and care about me, like I just feel more
The social
full. I feel
acceptance.
more myself, and I don't feel like I'm like alone. I don't feel like I'm
It's definitely a balance.
yeah.
I think we talked about Jordan Peterson talking about, like, not only exercise, but like a cure for anxiety is like eating healthy, like, eating right. I mean, we've said this multiple times. Like,
Eating right,
Eating right,
exercising,
exercising.
being in community. What else?
schedule, having a schedule, like a
A daily
getting sleep,
routine.
a daily routine, and sleep.
You have to sleep.
Sleep.
You have
Yeah.
to
Those
sleep
things are
good.
just so like essential.
Yeah,
Impossible.
and people
So
don't
it's almost
realize
like-
that.
They take advantage.
So about my mom with that, she like there's that side of things, But her and her dad, they both had electroshock therapy, so like that's also
What?
you
No
could
way.
get like,
Oh shit.
depression,
Oh, no.
and honestly, both of them said it worked. As in, they
Wow.
had multiple treatments where they were getting shocked into their brain to stimulate specific areas that were inactive,
Yeah,
and it
no, it
worked
makes
for
sense.
them. Like, it's a you know, those things. That's the thing. Only now I think people are realizing like they're genuine diseases, like they're problems that are physiological
Mental
as well,
illness.
and they can be fixed. Literally, like you know, a heart gets shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that. A part of your brain just gets shocked,
There's
and then suddenly it's active.
transmitters that
And it-
are inactive in your brain. Yeah, like definitely a deficiency in like serotonin, dopamine,
Yeah.
all of those that cause you to be like
10%.
allow you to be happy and to feel happiness and joy. Like sometimes there is just a deficiency in that. And sometimes it is as simple as like you just have a chemical imbalance and it is you find the medication that works for you and that's great. But there's so many people that are out there that it's so much more deeper than that. Like
Yeah.
it takes multiple like trial and error and different things to find. I mean, that's why there are inpatient units, inpatient therapies, because I mean it is so much trial and error. Like it takes time, and there
Doesn't
are
have to be though.
there's tests, there's hormonal testing and chemical testing that people can do, but it's so expensive, and the people that suffer from those types of diseases do not have the money to pay for those. So
Yeah.
it's so many like trying different medicines, trying different therapies until they get to that point, and sometimes they don't even get to that point because they kill themselves before they get to
Yeah.
that point because they are struggling so much,
They
and
don't
it is
see it
so
happen.
fucking sad. And now this is my passion. And now their Medicaid and Medicare are trying to cut down on inpatient visits from it. Now it's 5 to 7 days typically that they will fund, and they're putting it down to 3 to 5 days.
Wow.
And they're basically saying that someone who has been admitted to inpatient because they are having suicidal ideations or they had a suicide attempt or whatever reason, and they're saying if like after 1 or 2 days, if they're saying they're just saying, they go off their words, they're no longer saying they're having these suicidal ideations,
They
then
get released.
yes, they're released.
They're like, fuck it.
And then they're
Fuck off.
right back in the next week.
Yeah, and they try to kill themselves.
Because they try to kill themselves.
Well, even like addiction, I know like
Absolutely.
7 days is enough to essentially get you physically not as dependent on the drug.
They get discharged
But-
and they go right to find somebody on the street to
But
Yeah.
it doesn't
produce them with
Yeah.
some heroin,
Yeah.
shoot up,
Yeah.
try
It
to overdose,
doesn't-
and they're right back in.
It's the same addictive nature.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't start to cure like you know, in those situations if you only have 7 days with someone. Yeah,
That's a
you can
week.
get them physically
I'm
not
depressed for a week
dependent
sometimes, like
on-
7 days straight.
You can get them physically not dependent on a drug, but if they live in a society where there's a lot of crime and
It's easily accessible.
exactly, then they've maybe cured their physical depression for sure, but like
Maybe for the time, yeah, sure, for like 24, 72 hours or whatever. But when they get home and they get back in that same pattern or back in that same place and they're there and they're thinking about everything all over again, then they are right back.
at it.
and in 7 days you don't have time. You just don't have time.
And there
to
really are some sick
that.
people out there. I mean, those with bipolar, schizophrenia, they truly are. I mean, they truly are sick, and they probably are going to be in and out of hospitals for the rest of their lives. But there's got to be a better way to manage that and to
Have you heard about
service
how
those
Kanye
people.
talks about bipolar?
Who?
No.
No.
Says it's his superpower.
Who?
Sometimes
Kanye
when you're in
West.
a manic stage, people. I've seen patients come into the unit and they
Facebook
have
guy.
not slept for 3 or 4 days and they are just on a high.
Yeah.
And they are just like so manic. They have so many just like unrealistic ideas. But I mean, it's interesting to see that sometimes like I've had a patient come in and he was for sure like he was like, I'm God. I'm God.
Well, that's what
That's
Kanye
Kanye.
said.
for
Yes,
sure.
yes.
Straight
He's just
up.
like,
Fucking
I
Kanye.
am like the Messiah. And
He
he
said
would
that.
just be, he would take
Are you
over my
talking about Kanye
group.
now?
He'd be preaching, and I'm just like, But then a couple days later, when they get out of that manic stage, then they're just like, I want to die. Like, I don't want to be on this earth anymore.
If this country focused on racism as much as they focus on mental illness, we'd
We'd be
definitely
in a
be a better place.
It's so crazy to me in 2019, there's such a stigma behind mental health.
Yeah.
It is insane. And racism. I mean, we're in 2019.
Let's just
But
hope
honestly,
it gets better.
the difference between people, like, almost it's like the younger you go. So let's say, like, the class that we're talking today, I genuinely believe that none of them, like, they're all just friends with who they're friends with.
That's good.
And they really
I
don't
think
care.
I
And
think
they
we'll
really
grow
just
out of
are,
it.
like,
That's
th-
great.
it's- That's
I
how they seem to me.
do.
All of your students seem like that to me. In like,
And they're
Yeah.
resilient.
I do see a world
That's so important.
where it won't be a thing anymore.
For sure.
Personally,
It's
I
like getting
definitely
better
see
and
I
that.
better.
hope so.
Let's
I
just hope our
truly
planet
do.
lasts long enough.
Right.
It hurts me to see someone, like, it really, like, when I'm hearing some of these stories or reading some of these charts when I'm working, it hurts me to hear someone just be at such a low where they're just like, this world and everyone that I'm close to is just so much better off without me.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, like, I feel like, I mean, I don't know how far you guys have been in your depression state, but I feel like I relate to that in a very big, in a big personal level. So it's kind of
I
like,
called my mom one day. I was like, you've got to come here now.
yeah.
I talked to you on the phone that day. When you called me and we were talking about Marie and the whole situation, and I was crying, and I got off the phone with you and I called my mom. I said, I need you to come spend some time with me. I need you to be here for me. And she did. She came because I was just, and I couldn't even pinpoint why. There was no pinpoint as to why I was feeling that way. And my mom, she was like, okay, I can be there in a couple hours. Are you going to be okay till then? Do I need to call someone? Like, do you need to go somewhere? And I'm like, no, I'll be okay till you get here, but I need you to come and spend some time with me. Like, I just need someone here. It happens. I mean, and it's...
I guess the positive thing is just, like, I don't know about, I'll only speak for myself, but just knowing that there's definitely an end. It never,
there's a
like,
light
it gets better.
at the end of the tunnel.
It absolutely gets better.
It goes
So I
in
think
phases.
that's the most important
It's a roller
message. Is I don't
coaster.
want people to listen to this and be like, oh, fuck. Like, you guys experience the same thing, and you guys are just as depressed, but there's no positive into this. Like, I
there
absolutely have come up on top.
Mm-hmm.
After all
You
the
have
negativity,
days where you feel
and you
so
have your
happy.
days. I still to this day, even after saying I've conquered it, I still feel like I have those days where I question things, and it's definitely, but it's a struggle. But the good days are outweighing the bad days, and that's all that matters at this point. So I feel like that's also very important to know. Is like it does get better, like you said, routine, eating well, having positive people around you that let you know that you are important and your life matters.
Someone to
is
hold you
also
accountable, like those people
Exactly.
that are
Yeah,
important,
yeah,
like
yeah.
making sure that you are doing those things,
Yeah.
because it's so easy to say, yeah, you will do them, but
if you don't
for
have no
someone
one
who's
pushing
truly
you,
depressed,
you don't have no motivation.
they may just go
It's hard to
home
get out
laying
of
bed.
bed.
Yeah, absolutely. So just holding them accountable and just making sure that it's the little things.
I feel the same way
agree.
though, Carla. Like, I feel like I now have so much more grip of life than I used to, and it's unbelievable in a way. When I hear about other people struggling with like depression and anxiety, it's just kind of like, dude,
and you never think it's gonna happen to you.
Been there, but it feels like now in my life, it's not a daily struggle anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's true.
It's like every once in a while I have a bad day, and I'm like, oh dear God, please tell me I'm not going back down this path. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I hope this isn't. And then it'll wean off, and I'm like, oh, praise God. Like, because I can't handle it anymore. Like,
I'm
I
not
can't.
as strong as I was 2 months ago.
I've reached my
Definitely.
limits.
I can't.
Just done.
I'm just glad we all have each other in our lives.
Me too.
That's for sure. It's always important to have people in your life.
I really do.
And I hate to
And I
end
say
it,
it all the
but
time.
we gotta end
know,
it,
it's
y'all. I
been
think it's been a great episode.
extremely
An
long.
hour and 30 minutes.
Damn.
Oh, that's too long.
Honestly.
Too long.
But
I don't feel
like
like we've been talking
We talked
that
about
long.
great things. I
I
feel like it was.
I feel like you covered some of the most relevant,
We
like,
did.
social issues of,
Absolutely.
like, the day,